Hey everybody, how you doing? Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Dave. I'm 58, semi-retired, single, and no kids. I live just outside of Ames, Iowa, home of Iowa State University. I decided to join Doordash to help supplement my income. I hope this series of videos will highlight what it's like to be a Doordasher in a town that is not a major metropolitan center. Alright, let's get to it. Tuesday, August 31st. Yesterday was Monday. I cut some lawns yesterday, so I didn't do any door dashing. As you can see, we've got some rain showers in the area. Actually picked up, I think, about a ½ inch of rain on Monday night. That was a lot for us here recently in central Iowa. So prior to this, my door dashing has been experimental, a couple hours here, a couple hours there. I think the longest time I ran was about a 4-hour block. So this week it is my intention to run several 8-hour shifts and see what I can get out of an 8-hour shift. Today I'm going to run Ankeny, Iowa, just north of Des Moines and about 27 miles south of my town, Nevada, which is roughly the same mileage to Boone. I figure if I'm going to run 25 to Boone, I can run 27 to Ankeny. Ankeny usually shows red and busy most of the day. But real quick, I want to touch on and clarify about the red card. I activated that as I indicated in the last video. And yes, there are situations where you use the red card to pay for the product that the customer has ordered. But I've also gotten several offers for shop and deliver, which was going to a Walgreens, a Walmart, or a Hy-Vee grocery store, actually doing the shopping, paying for it with the red card, and then delivering that to the customer. And quite frankly, for the time amount that would be dedicated to that versus the pay, it just doesn't seem worthwhile at all to me. Now, there could be the possibility that the customer is going to provide a pretty healthy cash tip after you complete that task for them. But as I have seen here, first couple weeks here of door dashing, cash tips are very, very few and far between. I did do one red card shop and deliver for a customer that contained one item, Cheesecake Factory cheesecake. So I went to the Hy-Vee, found it, paid for it, and then delivered it. But that was my, I'm not going to go spend time shopping for 21 items and deliver it to the customer for $4. I get into Ankeny about 7:45 a.m. and I run for 7.5 hours till 3:15 p.m. Had a lot of food orders and quite a few grocery store orders. And those grocery store orders, as I think I've mentioned before, usually contain some pretty good tips. One grocery store order in particular was to be delivered from the Hy-Vee grocery store in the center of town to a small town about 3 to 4 miles outside of Ankeny. It's called Elkhart, but I could tell by the monetary figure that was indicated that this would more than pay for my mileage to that town and then back into Ankeny. It was also a double order, so I made one stop first and then I went out of town. And the couple in that small town, Elkhart, were very appreciative. They were tracking me on the app, which I did not know you could do, but they were tracking me on the app. She goes, "I see you had another stop, but you were real quick getting here." Both she and the husband, who apparently work at home, were there for me. She goes, "I was tracking you on the app. I put the dogs in the garage. Both of them were there. They had the side door to the house open up. They helped me unload the groceries and a very healthy $15 tip." Man, that's the kind of customer you want all the time. About mid-afternoon, the app just went crazy, and I have since learned that it was a nationwide glitch. I kept getting orders that said, "Hey, we were unable to connect with you, therefore we've given that order to another dasher." And that seemed to be a decline, so my acceptance rate went all the way down to like 42%, and I'm not really too concerned about that. My thoughts on becoming a top dasher have kind of been altered, and I don't think that that's really something that you need to strive for and achieve all the time. Many people in video comments say it's not worth it. You don't really get the great orders after all. Anyway, let's go take a look at the numbers for Tuesday in Ankeny. I ran 7.5 hours. I had 17 orders that paid $114.75, which comes out to $15.30 per hour average. Using 14 miles per gallon on the Speedwagon, 310 per gallon, 132 miles was all the mileage. I used 9.43 gallons. That cost me $29.23. Had 77 DoorDash delivery miles, which was 5.5 gallons at $17.05 cost. Pretty good day, really. Wednesday, I decided to start in Ames, and as you can see there, I did one run for $11.75. That was a pretty good food run, I think, from McDonald's. But the delivery was south and west of Ames, out in the country. And once I got that far out of Ames, I decided just to hightail it back to Ankeny. We're going to give Ankeny another full day run. Put in just a little over 6 hours there, had 11 orders, $62.50. Not a bad run, but it only came in just a little over $10 an hour average, and some pretty healthy miles there. But I wanted to give Ankeny a try and see if the mileage factor could be overridden by the pay coming in. Thursday, I decided to split the day between Ames and Boone, because Boone gets red hot during the lunch hour occasionally and even has peak pay. You can see that I started out 4 hours in Ames, 9 customers, $78. That was a damn good section. That was some good hours. Then at lunchtime, I ran over to Boone. As soon as I got to Boone, it went from red hot to gray cold, so I'm not sure if that's going to be a very good strategy. But then again, I came back to Ames, another 3 hours, 9 orders, $61.15. Another good section of hours in Ames. So Friday, I dedicated to Ames, period. I wanted to see how it would play up against Ankeny, and of course with a heavy reduction in mileage, which is 50 miles less round trip, to Ankeny and back. Okay, and as you can see here, 8 hours, 21 orders, $124, $15.55 an hour average. Notice that the gas I've changed a little bit, because when I was down in Ankeny, they were 20 to 25 cents per gallon less than we were here in Ames and Nevada. Now, Friday was the Friday before Iowa State University's first home football game. People were rolling into town, orders were nonstop. Just about everything was well over the $1 per mile minimum that I kind of want to follow. And that $1 per mile is on the Doordash delivery miles, which you see at 87. I do not play that against all of the mileage. So for this day, this 8-hour day, I brought in $124 with only 87 Doordash delivery miles. That is spectacular. So for the week, I brought in $460.53, and I'm up to 127 customer jobs. And you can see the running net income minus gas against all my gas expenses. I will be taking home $340.97 after the gas costs. My average for the week versus the 4 days was $115 per day at a job rate of $6.58 per job average pay. The average job minutes is 0.43, which translates into about 26 minutes per job from the very beginning of accepting the order, picking it up, driving to the customer, and delivering it. That doesn't initially sound very good, about 2 per hour? But you got to remember, I don't get orders bang bang all the time. There may be 2 or 3 minutes in between each order offer, and so when you average that out over 8 hours, that'll be a good metric to follow to see how quickly I get orders and can deliver them. Now here's the thing, the other thing I've noticed, and I mentioned before, they give you plenty of time to make the delivery. And even during the heat of battle at lunch hour on South Duff, which is a fast food row, it's not as bad as I thought it would be, being caught in traffic for minutes at a time. They give you plenty of time to make the delivery order. So let's plug Friday's numbers into the spreadsheet as if it was done every day, Monday through Friday, 5 days. Lawn mowing season's going to end here in the next month or two, and I've got to have something to bring in cash, until the UPS thing hits. And so I thought, let's just take these numbers and take a look at it and see if this can work. The only parameter I've changed is the price per gallon. I put that back up to $3.10 because that's what it is currently, and that's what I'll be purchasing the gas at. The only number we're really concerned with is the running net income minus gas, all the miles, and you see that clocks in at 504. So, after every gallon of gas is paid for, $2,000 a month at this pace and at this rate of jobs. This is very doable. I have a feeling that Friday was actually a little bit lower than it could have been, and I took a break for lunch, so I paused for about 35 minutes or so. But anyway, I think this is doable. I think from now on, I'm just going to concentrate solely on Ames, and that makes perfect sense. That's the least amount of mileage to Ames and back to my house. So that's what I'm going to do from here on out, is just focus strictly on Ames. And you know what? 8-hour day, I'm done by 3. You know, I'm an early riser anyway, and it's pretty easy, really, when you get down to it. You're driving around delivering food. Hopefully November I work for UPS again as a personal vehicle delivery driver, and that usually starts around 10:30 to 11 o'clock in the morning is when I can load up and get my packages. And the morning breakfast rush in Ames is usually where I start out with some pretty high averages. So what I can do is run into Ames, run 3 or 4 hours of the breakfast rush, and then go right to UPS and then do that job. Now, if I really want to crank it up, if last year is any indication, instead of 8-hour days the previous year, I was doing 4 or 5 hours a day. Now, granted, I'm in Nevada when I'm doing the UPS delivery, so, but you know what, if I get done at 2 or 2:30 or 3 o'clock and Ames is looking like it's rocking and rolling, I can blast back over to Ames and run a couple more hours and then play both of these jobs off of each other, and I think that's going to work really well. I've accepted some job offers and completed them, and you've always seen the total may be higher than indicated below the indicated job pay. And I don't know, I've talked to people online, I've talked to people in the field, other Doordashers that I've met, and nobody seems to have a real clear, uniform reason as to why that is, but it's nice to see when it's there. I know it's not strictly based on getting there on time or early, because I've done that more often than not, been early with my deliveries, and these have just popped up in the last day or two. So let's talk logistics. The pizza warmer is a definite plus. I am so glad that I got that. I use that every day, no matter where I'm at, delivering pizza to somebody. And putting the bags in the trunk tote and then covering them up with the blanket works out really, really well. Another DoorDasher on YouTube suggested that you religiously use that insulated food bag from DoorDash, or even go purchase another one. And like I've mentioned, I found that many of the places will put both the hot bag and the cold drinks in one larger bag and seal it up, and then those bags have handles, and that works out really great, so you're not juggling drinks. Speaking of drinks, I'd have to say that probably 50% at least of the food orders do not have drinks, maybe even higher. And the 6-pack cooler here that I have for stashing drinks in works really well when I have drinks. It keeps them upright, you know, they're not going to tip over, and they're insulated. Now, Iowa is a winter state. We're heading into some cold weather here, and while Speedwagon, I can heat that thing up so hot to cook meat, I'll probably buy a larger insulated bag or insulate this trunk tote, and then be able to put the bags in there, throw a towel or a blanket over it. And you know, the guy on YouTube said, he goes, you know, it's just the appearance of you bringing up the order in the insulated bag and taking it out at the door. I get the appearances, everything bullshit, but so far, as long as you can hand in the bag and it's still warm to the touch and even hot, that works good enough for me. So I'll figure out something here. If I have to get an insulated bag, I will. I mentioned in my previous video that a few times when I scheduled time, I reserved time blocks, and this was specifically in Boone, but once in Ames, that once I got there, it didn't recognize that I was signed in, and it kicked me after a half an hour. So I have not done that since, even though there's been an update to the app. I just roll into Ames, or in a couple cases, Ankeny. As soon as I breach the border, I hit Dash Now, then I select an end time, you know, around 3 o'clock. And so far, that's worked pretty good. The only place that has not worked was Boone one time when it said, sorry, we have enough dashers, we'll let you know when there's an opening. But otherwise, I've had no problems rolling into Ames, hit Dash Now, and getting a time slot. And I think that dedicating your time on the app there, saying that you're going to run for 8 hours or for a certain period of time, they can use that to determine how many orders there are per dashers, etc., etc., etc. And even though the town goes gray, I'm still getting orders on a regular basis. So overall, I'm pretty pumped. I think this is going to work, and especially when I can double up with UPS and get ahead a little bit here. And if this does work out, you know, the lawn mowing, I'm not going to actively pursue any other customers, and I'll just do those guys on 1 or 2 days or afternoons, and then run the DoorDash full time. Maybe even get ahead enough to possibly get a more fuel efficient vehicle for summertime door dashing. All right, guys and gals, thanks for coming along for the ride, and hope to see you next time.